All right, so this deep dive, it's all about using podcasts to learn English. Specifically, we're going to be looking at some recommendations. Um, I think this is going to be a good one. What
Yeah.
do you think?
Yeah, I'm really curious about these podcasts. It's it's such a smart way to learn, don't you think? You've got all this authentic language just there, ready when you are.
Yeah, absolutely. And this piece doesn't waste any time. It jumps right into it. It highlights some popular American podcasts right off the bat. How I Built This, Stuff You Should Know, The Daily. Have you listened to any of these?
I have, yeah. They're great choices. How I Built This.
Mm-hmm.
Now that one, it goes beyond just like business vocabulary, you know?
Oh, really?
Like it really gets into like the stories behind these companies. So you're getting the vocabulary, but you're also hearing how it's used to tell these really compelling stories. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
right. So it's like structure, too.
Exactly. And then you've got Stuff You Should Know,
Yeah. Mm.
and that one's just, it's a crash course in everything. You learn so much just listening to it.
It's like trivia night fodder,
Yeah.
all those random facts.
And it's great for vocabulary, too, because
Yeah.
it covers so many different topics.
Yeah, that's important. I think that variety can be key, like to stay engaged.
Absolutely. If
Yeah.
you're not interested, you're not going to stick with it. And then the daily. Now, that one's interesting because you're really getting thrown into current events. So you're hearing different accents, different ways people actually talk,
Ooh, I like that.
which is so important, right?
Yeah, the real world.
Because textbook English, that's only going to get you so far.
Right, exactly.
You need to hear how people actually speak in different situations.
I
Like,
agree.
It's like the difference between, I don't know,
Yeah,
reading about cooking and actually like tasting the food, you know?
totally. So we've got these three, How I Built This, Stuff You Should Know, The Daily, and they all sound really good for different reasons. But then I'm looking at the source and it says that 6 minutes, that's a potential game changer.
6 minutes.
Yeah, what's going on with that one?
6 minutes. Yeah, it's interesting. Well, it's designed specifically for English learners.
Uh-huh.
Like it's made for that purpose.
So it's not just like hoping that people who are learning English happen to tune in.
No, it's like they've thought about what those learners need.
Interesting.
Yeah, so the conversations, they're actually scripted,
Okay.
but they don't sound like it.
Right.
They sound really natural, and they focus on everyday situations.
So like things you might actually encounter.
Exactly. Like ordering food, asking for directions, things like that.
Okay, so it's bridging that gap then between like textbook English and how people actually talk.
Exactly. And here's the really clever part. They slow down the conversations just a bit,
Uh-huh.
just enough so that learners can catch everything.
Every word, every idiom, all of it.
Exactly. It makes such a difference.
Yeah, those nuances, those are so hard to pick up on.
They really are, and they're so important for really understanding a language, you know?
It's like you can know all the grammar rules, but if you don't get those subtle things, it's just not the same.
It's not the same.
Yeah.
You're not going to sound natural.
Right, exactly.
So anyway, what I found really interesting about this source, beyond the specific podcast,
Okay, yeah.
is that it really emphasizes consistency and engagement.
Okay, so it's not enough to just like listen to one episode and call it a day.
No, it's about making it a habit.
Right. Like anything else you want to learn.
Exactly. And it's got to be enjoyable too, you know?
Yeah, it actually says that in here, that you've got to enjoy the podcast.
Yeah. Because if you don't like it,
You're not going to listen.
you're going to give up.
Right.
And that's the beauty of podcasts. There are so many out there.
You can find something you actually like.
Exactly. And you can listen anywhere,
In the car, at the gym.
while you're cooking, whatever works for you.
It's like you're turning those everyday moments into learning opportunities.
Exactly. It doesn't have to be this big, formal thing.
Yeah, no more textbooks.
Well, maybe not no more textbooks, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I do.
It's about making it a natural part of your life.
Integrating it.
Exactly. And, the piece also talks about this idea of active versus passive listening.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So it's one thing to have a podcast on in the background.
Like while you're doing the dishes.
Right. But to really improve, you have to be more active.
So like taking notes?
Yeah. Taking notes, maybe even trying to speak along with the podcast.
Oh, interesting.
It's called shadowing.
Shadowing. Okay.
Yeah. You basically try to imitate the speakers.
Got it.
So it's about really engaging with the material, not just passively consuming it.
That makes a lot of sense. And I
Yeah.
guess that's where finding a podcast that you really connect with is important.
It's crucial. Because if you're interested in what you're listening to, you're going to pay more attention.
You're going to want to participate more actively.
Exactly. And then it's not even work. Really, it's just fun.
Right. Right.
So, another thing this source mentions is the social aspect of language learning.
Okay. Yeah. How does that work with podcasts? I mean, it seems like a pretty solitary activity, right? Because you've got your headphones in, you're by yourself. It doesn't seem very social.
I know, right?
Yeah.
But here's the thing. There are all these online communities, and people are connecting specifically because of podcasts.
Oh, so they're listening to like the same episode and then talking about it.
Exactly. They might be sharing tips like, oh, I didn't understand this word, or this part really helps me with my pronunciation.
That's actually really cool. And you could do that with any of these podcasts, right? Like find a group that's listening to 6 Minutes or the Daily, whatever you're into.
Absolutely. And I think that sense of community can be really powerful, especially when you're learning something new. It's like having a built-in support system.
It's like you're all in it together.
Exactly. And, beyond those specific communities, even just having someone to talk to in English can make a huge difference.
Right. Like practice makes perfect and all that.
Exactly. So, this whole deep dive, it's really got me thinking, maybe the future of language learning isn't about sitting in a classroom.
It's about finding these more, I don't know, organic ways to learn.
Yes, like
Mm.
integrating it into your life,
Yes.
making it something you enjoy.
That makes a lot of sense. And you know what? Even if you're not trying to learn a new language, I think these podcasts, they offer so much just in terms of like expanding your knowledge, hearing different perspectives.
Oh, absolutely. It's like a window into different worlds, different minds. I'm so glad we took this deep dive. I feel like I've learned a ton.
Me too. And I hope our listeners feel the same way. All right. Well, that's it for this deep dive. Until next time.
See you then.